Carlisle native George Martin joined his hometown police force in 1890 at the age of 23. His fellow officers remembered him as one of the most efficient members on the force. On April 8, 1893, Officer Martin was on foot patrol on the outskirts of town when he encountered a burglary suspect. A chase ensued down an alley, then a lane near a graveyard. With Martin gaining, the suspect turned, displayed a gun, and shot Martin, killing him instantly. Police tracked down and eventually caught Charles Salyards in West Virginia. Salyards was tried for Martin's murder, found guilty, and in the prison yard of the old Cumberland County Prison was executed in the county's last public hanging.
Camp Hill police officer Roy Hamlin was on motorcycle patrol on May 23, 1925, when he witnessed a speeding vehicle on Market Street in the borough. Hamlin gave chase, but near the intersection with 17th Street, hit trolley tracks that sent his motorcycle out of control. Hamlin was injured in the accident and rushed to Harrisburg Hospital, where he died of his injuries. Hamlin was survived by a wife and 2 children.
Officer James Welch joined the New Cumberland Police Department in 1926. Prohibition was in full swing, as was police efforts to enforce it. In February 1928, Officer Welch tipped federal liquor enforcement agents to an illegal moonshine operation in a farmhouse in nearby York County. The feds deputized Welch, who joined the agents on the raid. A still and barrels of whiskey were uncovered, but a sudden explosion leveled the building. Welch sustained severe injuries. He died 2 weeks later. Officer Welch was 36 and survived by a wife and 2 children.
In the early 1940s, Officer Dean Ziegler was a young law enforcement member of the Pennsylvania Motor Police, one of the forerunners of today's Pennsylvania State Police. On October 11, 1942, Private Ziegler was on patrol on this stretch of highway in Upper Allen Township when his cruiser collided with another vehicle. Ziegler's injuries were severe. Despite blood donations by his fellow officers, Private Ziegler died of his injuries 6 days later. He was 24 and had been on the force barely a year.
Homer Gilbert had made a name for himself in the sports pages as a football player, even suiting up for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1930s. By the early 40s, Homer was married and a family man in Mechanicsburg and had exchanged his football uniform for a police uniform as a part-time Mechanicsburg police officer. Reed was on duty on the night of January 26, 1941, when he got a call for a fight in progress. Joan Jacobs is Gilbert's daughter.
The boys were having a big fight in there, and the police station was just down, I don't know how many blocks, well, not even a block, I don't think, from it. And he ran up, and he ended up getting a heart attack. And I don't think he lasted the night.
Joan was only 10 years old when her father died. She looks forward to having this memorial keep her father's memory alive.
My grandson could remember him a little bit, so that way. But no, there aren't that many people who remember him anymore, because like I said, if I'm 82, they're not going to, they can't be that much older.
State Police Private Charles Stansky was patrolling Route 11 on January 17, 1958, when he began chasing a truck that had avoided a way station. On a side road approaching a rail crossing, Stansky spotted an oncoming train. Stansky slammed on his brakes, but his cruiser flipped over. Rushed to Harrisburg Hospital, Stansky died from his injuries 6 days later. Stansky was 29 years old.
In the mid-1960s, Cumberland County was home for veteran FBI agent Terry Ray Anderson. A family man, Anderson was the agent in charge of the Mid-State FBI office. In May 1966, a so-called mountain man kidnapped 17-year-old Peggy Ann Bradnick in Shade Gap, Huntingdon County. The manhunt attracted national attention and was featured in this Saturday Evening Post article. Anderson and dozens of local, state, and federal officers descended on the rural community. In a shootout with the kidnapper, Agent Anderson was shot and killed. The gunman, William Hollenbaugh, was killed when authorities successfully rescued the frightened teen. At the time, Anderson became the 15th FBI agent to die in the line of duty.
East Pennsboro Patrol Officer Harry Hartman Jr. was on duty the night of December 17, 1970, when he was assigned to assist neighboring West Fairview police at the scene of a traffic accident. While directing traffic on routes 11 and 15 at State Street, Officer Hartman was struck by a car. Rushed to Holy Spirit Hospital, Hartman died of his injuries 4 days later. He was 25 years old. Silver Spring Township Police Officer Paul Walters was on patrol on a snowy night in January 1975 when he was dispatched to a call on the Carlisle Pike. Some teenagers were throwing snowballs at passing cars. Walters tracked down the boys on foot and was escorting them to safety along the snowy highway when a passing motorist struck him. He died at a local hospital. Daughter Jennifer Solar was only 5 years old when she awoke the following morning.
And my mom gathered us over. We were in our pajamas. She gathered us over. She said, "I have something very serious and very sad to tell you." We couldn't imagine what it could be. It was just, you ask these young children what would be the saddest thing that could happen, and I don't even think that would be in the realm of consideration. And yet it was. And she said, "Your dad was in a serious accident last night." And I don't even know if we had a chance to say, "Is he going to be okay?" before she said no.
In 2012, the township recognized Walters by naming a bridge over Interstate 81 in his honor. And decades after his death, daughter Jennifer is still learning more about her dad.
So it was just years ago that I found out that my dad was a great dancer. I vaguely knew that he played the trumpet in high school and was a very good trumpet player, and I thought if I had known that, maybe I would have pursued, not necessarily the trumpet, but a musical instrument.
Richard Phelps had done a tour of duty in Vietnam when he left the Army and joined the Lemoyne Police Force in 1975. Phelps was in uniform for 15 years. Daughter Gwen Phelps said he was well respected.
Fun guy. Liked his classic cars, the dogs. Movies. Loved his action movies.
In July 1989, Officer Phelps was working a late shift when he got a call to assist a fellow officer chasing a fleeing motorist. During the chase, the officer's car left the roadway and struck a steel barrier. His injuries were fatal. Daughter Gretchen Schumann said her dad died doing what he loved.
I just think he just loved being a police officer. He wanted to be the state police officer, but he was too short. So he became a local police officer. I think just something he wanted to do, something he loved.
30-year-old Willis Cole was on duty August 19, 1994, when he responded to a robbery in progress at a New Cumberland coin shop. Two armed men had held up the shop owner and were running off when Cole arrived. As he attempted to handcuff one of the suspects, the second suspect, identified as Saifullah Abdul Salam, fatally shot Cole in the chest. The murder devastated the town and the law enforcement community. Both suspects were captured soon after the shooting. Abdul Salam was found guilty of the murder and sentenced to death. He awaits execution on Pennsylvania's death row.